Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada, 2.14. Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agama payino nityas tam stitikshasva bharata. So, matra sparshaha. Sparsha means touch or perception. Matra means the sense object. Touch is a sense object. Tanmatra, sparsha matra. Sparsha matra means the sense object called touch or perception. Sense perception. Matra sparshaha, O Kaunteya. Krishna is addressing Arjuna as Kaunteya and Bharata in this verse. In the last line, he addressed him as Bharata, and in the first line, he addressed him as Kaunteya. So, O Kaunteya, Matra Sparshaha, because of this sensory perception, it causes Sita Ushna Sukha Dukhada. It produces, Daha means which produces, Dukhada, which gives pain, Sukhada means which gives happiness. The Lord is the giver of transcendental bliss. So he is also called Sukhada. He is also called the giver of all benedictions, or the best giver of benedictions. Varada. So he is also Varada Krishna, Varadarshabha, Sukhada, like that. The Lord is the bestower of all these things. But who is causing Sukha Dukkhada? It is Matra Sparsha is causing, or the material nature. As long as we are in the material atmosphere, it causes Sita Ushna as well as Sukha Dukkha. And Agama Apayina. And it is not that it is always there, it comes and goes. Sometimes there is Sukha and sometimes it goes, and then there is Dukkha. Agama means it comes, and Apayina means it is gone. Therefore it is Anitya. So Agamaha Apayinaha, therefore Anitya. Therefore, what is the conclusion, O Bharata? Tan titikshasva. All of these temporary happiness and distress, temporary heat and cold, temporary summer and winter, temporary fame and infamy, all these things you should tolerate. Just try to tolerate. Because Krishna in the previous verses, he took the theme of trying to counter Arjuna's argument that how can I kill these people? So Krishna told, don't worry, they are spirit souls. And they are not going to be destroyed even if you kill them. But then Arjuna might say, how is it possible? They have been my relatives. Even though you say they are spirit souls, I have a bodily relation. How can I tolerate? So Krishna acknowledges, yes, even though they are spirit souls, because you have a material relation and therefore you are bound to get afflicted, therefore you need to tolerate. So Krishna he is addressing as Kaunteya and Bharata, Arjuna, very significant. Interestingly, when Krishna dismisses the bodily concept just in the previous verses, again it is quite interesting to note Krishna is bringing the bodily relation of Arjuna to call him as Kaunteya, or son of Kunti. And Bharata, he is coming in the bodily relation of the family of Bharata. So it's quite interesting. So Prabhupada mentions the reason why Krishna does that is not to propel his bodily concept, but to encourage him by glorifying his glorious family heritage. And so basically Krishna is now in this verse, he is trying to pacify Arjuna's material lamentation. That is okay, Arjuna. He is trying to pat his ego. So, a spiritual master has this task of treating the person very carefully. If you chastise very severely, the person may break down, and if you don't chastise enough, the person's ego gets inflated. So, there is this wonderful task of uh, there is this very delicate task for the spiritual master, and Krishna is taking that role in encouraging Arjuna by bringing in this blood relation from his mother's side and from his father's side to show that he has a great heritage and he should become tolerant and he should exhibit his tolerance and proper discharge of duties. Don't avoid fighting because you come from a great heritage. So that is the reason why he calls as Arjuna. So this, even though the verse talks about tolerance from nature's effects, tolerance coming from the effects of nature, like summer, winter, happiness, distress by sense perception. But in general, we also face many day to day dealings where we can apply tolerance. It is part and parcel of everyone's life that we undergo severe stress or agitation by others, adhyatmika, adibautika, adidaivika kleshas. Um, while going in traffic, we might get agitated. So there are so many ways one can get agitated. That is why one should learn tolerance. There are many virtuous qualities one can possess as a human being. um, Out of all that, that those qualities are mentioned in various places in Bhagavad Gita. Out of all of those qualities, virtuous qualities, Krishna mentions tolerance as the first quality here in this verse. So titikshasva means tolerance. It is also called as kshanti. In 13th chapter, when Krishna lists these wonderful attributes one needs to possess, kshanti, he uses the word kshanti. Amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantir, arjavam. So, like that. So, it's interesting to note that tolerance is the very first quality that Krishna wants Arjuna and through him all spiritual practitioners to cultivate. So, titiksha. This is also mentioned by Lord Kapila in Srimad Bhagavatam in his teachings to Mother Devahuti, while explaining the qualities of a devotee, where he says, Titikshavaha karunikaha suhridaha sarva dehinam ajata shetravah shantaha sadhavo sadhubhushanaha. So these are the wonderful qualities or the ornaments of a sadhu. To be tolerant. There also he brings up the very first quality. Titikshavaha. The sadhu's very first quality is to be tolerant. Karunikaha, compassionate. Suhrudaha sarvadehinam, to become a well-wisher of everyone. And ajata setravaha. Therefore, he is not having any enemies. Because he is the well-wisher and friend of everyone. Even though people out of mistake, they consider him as their enemy, but he doesn't consider anybody as his enemy. He's trying to do benefit to everyone. Ajata Chitravaha Shantaha. Therefore, he is very peaceful. One who is tolerant, the peace can be led only from tolerance. Ajata Chitravaha Shantaha Sadhavo Sadhubhushanaha. And tolerance is also mentioned by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in one of his Sikshastaka prayers. The famous prayer, who can quote that?
कृष्णेन
Yes.
तरोरपि सहिष्णुता अमानीय मानते कृष्णेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरि.
Yes, very nice. Trunadapi sunicena tarorapi sahishnuna. Sahishnuna. Sahana means tolerance. Sahishnuna, tolerance. So one should be as tolerant as a tree. One should be as humble as a blade of grass. Even if somebody doesn't give us respect, amanina, you give them respect. Manadena and kirtaniya sadahari. Only if we cultivate these aspects, then we can constantly engage in the Hari Kirtana. Kirtaniya Sadahari. And even Rupa Goswami mentions this principle of tolerance, or to be able to withstand the urges. The nectar of instruction verses that we had read last few days. What is the very first verse?
आचो वेगम मनसा क्रोध वेगम जिह्वा वेगम उदरोपस्थ वेगम एतान वेगान यो विषहेत तीरः पृथ्वीं च शिष्यं.
Yes, Vishaheta, Saheta. Again, that word is derived from Sahana. Saheta means one who can tolerate. So, one who can withstand these urges of mouth, vacho vegam, or speech, manasa vegam, mind, krodha vegam, anger, jihva vegam, of your tongue, udaropastha vegam, of the stomach, genitals. All these things, one who can withstand, tolerate, he can become eligible to be a spiritual master. Sarvamapi mam prithvim sasishyat. So tolerance has been given very, very high importance in spiritual practice. One of the first qualities one should acquire. So why? Why is it? Why is tolerance so important in spiritual life? Anyone? Any answers? Why is tolerance important?
I mean, we have a lot of contaminations from so many lifetimes. So to get purified, it will take time. So when we start some progress, and like some process like chanting or hearing or any of the spiritual processes, we will not be able to. I mean, we should be patient and tolerant, and also as a devotee, we will be. I mean, we will be faced with so many situations where we should be tolerant and wait for the time.
Yeah, very good point. We have so many contamination, and we need to wait and be tolerant for us to get that contamination be purified. Good. Anyone else?
And other than tolerance, we don't have option. We're not the controller, so we don't have option.
We don't have option. Good. The nice angle.
Not the controller, so. And if we get agitated and intolerable, then we'll be like falling down. Like we'll not practice any Krishna consciousness or any realization. We'll just fall down.
Yes. So then we'll become like a materialistic. There is no difference between, or we cannot differentiate ourselves. We cannot make tangible progress if we don't exhibit tolerance. It is like a day-to-day, regular materialistic life. Very good point. Anyone else? Last one.
And exhibition of tolerance also shows that we are able to take everything as a blessing from the Lord as we are progressing in spiritual.
Yes.
Spiritual,
Yes, yes. So, one second. Somebody is trying to reach me. 1 second. Okay. So I think this can wait for maybe another 10 minutes. Okay, so yeah, so all of you made very good points. One thing I would like to mention, one important point about tolerance is the reason why it is stressed so much is because it helps us stay focused on what is important to us, what is our biggest goal in life. Tolerance helps us stay focused towards going that without getting misguided. Quite often, the biggest battle in life is to keep the biggest battle the biggest battle. What do I mean by that? We constantly face struggle to keep our focus on the biggest battle in life. And quite often, we lose focus and keep some small petty things as the biggest battles. So, the biggest battle in life often is to keep our biggest battle the biggest battle. So, if you don't show tolerance, if you get misguided, if you get worked up by a petty thing, like for example, you're driving to office, your focus is there is an important meeting, you need to be mentally prepared, you need to go on time, you don't need any distractions. But while driving, somebody cuts you off, or honks you, or agitates you. You don't go after him, or start cursing him, or lose your patience and lose your mind, because there is an important thing happening. Who is he to disturb you from your important goal to accomplish for the day? The last thing you need is to get agitated and go in a very agitated mood and spoil the most important meeting. So the petty things in life should be valued only as much as in their context. And many such petty things should be actually avoided. As they say, the dogs bark, but the caravan shall pass. So we should not mind any petty things. It could come from nature or it could come from others. Yes, at times it could be very difficult, but the caravan shall pass. The tough times will end, the agitation will end. It's just patience and tolerance that helps us. A very interesting story in this connection, um, uh, where a king gets this advice. Once a king uh, asks all the ministers of his state, all the wise men, and asks them, is there one word of advice, one mantra for me that can, help me solve any situation in life? And a lot of people come and give him advice. Simple mantra he wants, but he's not satisfied. But one person, one old wise man, he comes from somewhere and he says, I have an advice for you. And he is very curious, what is your advice? And he says, I will write it in a piece of paper. It is very, very small advice. But on one condition, you should not see it unless you are in a danger, or unless there is no other option for you but to see it. So you should put it under your ring, diamond ring, fold that paper, and only when there is extreme danger or when you are alone, when there is no other option, no other way, then only you can see it. The king becomes very curious. He says he wants to give it a try. And though he takes that and keeps it under his ring. And then sometime later, the neighboring kingdom, the king, he attacks this kingdom. And this king fights bravely, but he loses the battle. And the king is uh, riding on his horse, fleeing from the battle scene. And the enemies are following him. They're getting closer and closer. And suddenly the king finds himself stranded at the end of a road, nowhere to go. And there is a valley right next on the edge of the road. There is a tree, and then attached to that, there is a valley. And there is a small hiding place there. So he sees these enemies coming to him, and he's just stranded there. He doesn't know where to go. He stays there, but it is very easy for them to find, and he doesn't know what to do, whether to run, keep running fast, or get caught, or just stay there, or do what. He doesn't know anything. And suddenly that thing props up in his mind. Oh, this wise man came and gave something. Let me open and see what it is. And then he opens this diamond ring and opens the paper, and he reads the message. And the message says, "This too shall pass. This too shall pass." And the king reads it and reads it again, and then something strikes him. Yes, this situation also will pass. Only a few only a few days ago I was enjoying my kingdom. I was the mightiest of all kings, and now all that has gone. And now I am escaping from my enemies. These luxuries have gone, and maybe this danger also will pass. And he becomes calm, and he has faith, and slowly he finds that the the enemies have taken a different route, and the sound of the horses slowly start receding. And then he picks up his composure again, and he comes out, and he goes back, and he somehow or other he gathers more and more troops, and then he fights again and wins the battle. And then again he is welcomed with all paraphernalia in a festive mood. He'll be rejoicing the victory. He'll be thinking, I can do anything. I am the bravest and most wise king. And then suddenly that again the diamond rings flashes in the sunlight and reminds him of the message. And then he opens and reads again. This too shall pass. And again he becomes silent. He understands that just like this uh, enemy's conquering was a temporary affair, his enjoying the luxury was also temporary, going to be temporary. So he becomes sober and starts focusing his mind on self realization, and that helps him. So this is a eternal principle in material world. Nothing can be permanent, including our distress. So there is nothing we can do at those times, agitating times when things are out of our control. So the best principle to follow is tolerance. So very, very important principle that Krishna is teaching here, and one that we can put to use day in and day out. And one should look for opportunities. If one is getting a situation where they are being agitated, being at the receiving end, so one should take the opportunity to see Krishna is giving you a practice, lab practice. Theory is over. Now, unless you face the lab in a practical situation, the theory does not manifest as Vijnana. So one should take that as an opportunity. So it's a very good opportunity for everyone to practice. So keep that in mind when a situation like that happens. Even if you cannot practice, at least if that realization comes to you, yes, I should have done that. That is also a step towards progress. So I'll stop here. Any other questions, comments on what we discussed?